Hello, welcome. Thank you for watching / listening. My name is Chris Miller, and first off, I wanted to comment on, I think the last podcast post that I made was about commitment, and I just find that it's funny that it's been a while since the last time I posted this. I kind of fell off of the commitment train. I'm not quite sure where I went, but there is something that I've been thinking about. I have a class coming up all about connecting with your inner child and finding more fun and playfulness in your life. And so when I start to build a class, when I have something coming up, I start to think about it, and a lot of my thoughts revolve around what it means to have an inner child, what it means for it to kind of get or take control of your life, and just bringing a culmination of all the thoughts that I've had together over the past however many years, and putting it together into a kind of comprehensive plan where people can take some steps in order to reclaim a bit of themselves that they may be lost track of. So I wanted to share some things about the inner child in my experience, and the one thing that really stands out to me is when life tends to be getting difficult, or when you tend to be self-sabotaging yourself, or you start getting stressed out. Anything that kind of creates an emotional or sometimes even physical imbalance and really kind of brings you down. Maybe you're not seeing as much excitement in the work that you're doing, or maybe you're having difficulty with a family member or your children. In my opinion, a lot of times what it boils down to is your inner child throwing a tantrum. And so it looks like a lot of different things. Like I said, you could be stressed out at work, or self-sabotaging. Maybe you're not doing as good a job as you could be at work, or maybe you haven't done the dishes in a while, or laundry is starting to pile up. What I find when I check in with myself when a lot of these things are happening is that there's a part of you that's trying to get your attention, and what it's doing is that it's causing some imbalance in your life so that you're required to pay attention. And I know a lot of times when there are imbalances in our life for a long time and we don't pay attention, those imbalances get louder and louder and louder, and can oftentimes result in some sort of physical illness or ailment that we have to deal with. So we want to be aware of ourselves in a way where we don't have to get to that end point of this thing that in our life that's screaming at us, having us basically forcing us to make a change, or we don't have a life anymore oftentimes. So thankfully it doesn't get that drastic quick, and it does take a while, but it does get louder over time. And like I said, essentially it's this inner child throwing a tantrum. It's trying to get your attention, and the question that we have to ask ourselves is, why is it trying to get our attention? What does this inner child need? What is the thing that we are missing in our lives that brings us the most joy, maybe? Or where have we lost our playfulness? Or how can I have more fun in my life? So answering these questions, whether it's through meditation, through journaling, whether you go to a workshop and discuss it with someone that has experience working through these things, it doesn't really matter how you address it. just that you do, and that you spend some time focusing on it. And even if you don't have any idea of what to do, even if you have no clue what your inner child sounds or looks like, or what it wants, or really don't have any idea of how any of this works, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you sit down and you try something. Because what happens with our brain is that there's this thing called the reticular activating system, and I'll probably be mentioning it a lot because I think it has a lot to do with how we pay attention. But basically what it says is that whatever you have your focus on, whatever dominates your thoughts, that's what the brain looks for. A lot of times people will have the experience of buying a new car and then seeing that type or color of car on the road everywhere. And the reason is because you put so much time, energy, and focus onto this new car, and excitement too, that your brain starts to say, oh, they're really focusing on this one thing, so I'm going to help them focus on it. So it basically will look in the environment for you and find the things that are like it. The reason I bring this up is because the same thing happens when you're doing any kind of self-reflection work. So if you are interested in connecting with that inner child, that inner voice that is about fun and play and needs to have some expression in the world, then when you sit down with it and start to think about it, even if you sit down and you're writing and you say, I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm trying to talk to this inner child, and it feels a little weird because I've never done this before, or I don't know where you are, I don't know where I lost you, please help me see. What you're doing is you're training your brain to look at that thing. And the more often you do it, the stronger that awareness becomes, and the more likely your brain is going to look for not only where your inner child plays a role within you, but also what opportunities there are out in the world where you can express that, where you can have fun, where you can play. So I just wanted to share that. I wanted to talk it through. Honestly, I wanted to talk it through because I am designing this class again, and I really wanted to have something down and gain some clarity on what that inner child means to me in my experience. And even in a stressful time in my life, last week was super stressful. And in reflecting on it, it's because that I wasn't focused on the things that kind of bring me joy and the things that are fun for me. I think fun is a huge thing. If I'm not having fun, it's really not worth doing. So for me anyways. And I think being able to refocus that and finding the fun in it, and not necessarily forgetting about all the stressful things that are going on, but looking specifically for what can be fun about it has really helped to kind of shift that for me. And I invite you to do the same. It's worth it. It's important to take care of yourself, and it's important to keep that playfulness alive within you, because things get way too serious, way too quick. And while it's, again, important to have responsibility and be an adult sometimes, especially when you have kids, it's also probably equally important to find that playfulness and be a kid yourself and allow yourself the chance to express that. So I hope this helped. And until next time, talk to you later.